but you could feel the morale was very low. He was down, you know, and QPR brought me in for my management style, and that ain't going to change, you know. I'm looking going, where's my experience in this team? And if it goes wrong, come with me, don't come with the boys, because I'm asking them to do it.
Welcome back to the Talking Rangers YouTube channel. Today, for a very, very special instalment, I'm delighted to be joined with QPR's new gaffer, Gareth Ainsworth. Gareth, thank you for your time. How are you keeping? How are you finding things at the moment?
Yeah, a bit of a whirlwind, you know, 9 days in, 2 games, 3-1 defeats in both, but plenty of building blocks, you know. The club is, it's sort of very thin at the moment with player availability, and that's something that I've come in and we're trying to solve. You know, I've had a lot of injuries to deal with. New gaffer obviously coming in, so different styles from me. I'm the 3rd one this season as well, which is tough. You know, not having a window to do what I'd want to do, but all these things are future now. I've just got to start clawing some results because, you know, we don't want to get involved in any scraps of any relegation. So, you know, we want to start looking up and seeing who we can catch. Good set of boys, great staff, and I've been here before, you know, so a bit of a difference since I was last here, but you know, still the heartbeat's strong at QPR, and looking forward to getting stuck into it all.
That's what we like to hear. Okay, let's start this off from the beginning. I think it was obviously, it almost felt, for at least from our side of QPR fans side, that it was inevitable that at some point you'd come back and take the reign of QPR. I think you made it clear over the years that you'd like to come back, given your numerous spells at the club. Why was now the right time to come back, to leave Wycombe, to join QPR? Again, given some of the circumstances we're on at the moment, why did you feel that for you this was the right moment to come back and take the hot seat?
I thought that you know, what the job I'd done at Wycombe was, you know, the 10 years was a fantastic 10 years. I loved every minute of it there, you know, and just, you look at League One now, and some of the teams in that division, to compete in that division was unbelievably difficult, you know, and I could feel it's a strain sometimes to try and compete with your Derbys, your Sheffield Wednesdays, you know, and honestly, we found ways, and we did find ways, and I've always had to try to reinvent. But the amount I'd learned, I wanted to challenge myself. I really did. And there was not a bigger challenge, you know, honestly. The run that QPR have been on is well documented, obviously, you know, and coming into a club that I love, you know, there's no secret that I've spoke before to people at the club about the managerial vacancy, but obviously the different things happen in different ways. People go different ways. My owners at Wycombe were always pro me having a chance higher up. They were always saying, we want you to go, we want you to move on, we know Wycombe's limitations. And when a worldwide club like QPR comes in, you know, with the connection I've got with it, precarious position, challenging position, but those who saw me play will know I've never pulled out one of those, you know, and I'm not about to now. It was a no-brainer for me, you know, once I spoke to a couple of people upstairs and come and saw the training ground, come and saw the facilities. I always said it was no, you know, I've turned down some big jobs. I really have at Wycombe. I've turned down some real big jobs. A couple of championship teams. Sorry, I'm not going to say one championship team, turned them down. A couple of League One teams, big League One teams, even a conference team that was big. All offering me a lot more money than I was on at Wycombe, always offering me a lot more glamour. It just didn't feel right, and I said it's never about the money, it's never about that. I don't go chasing that. It was always about the right fit, the right place, and the right chance and challenge, and QPR ticked all those boxes, you know. And obviously, you know, playing 160, 70 games for the club helps, you know. I've got an affinity here, but I don't expect me to have any honeymoon period because of that. I want to get stuck into it, start getting results in, but we are thin at the moment, and once I get this squad back, the players I've been watching, we're going to be strong. And also I'm trying to input this new style into the players, and this new, you know, winning style that I want to employ here. So, but the fit was right. The fit was the right time. Local. I moved to the house I'm in now when I played at QPR, unbelievably. And I've been there for 10 years, 12 years now. The children, they've all gone to schools and around the area where I live, and so there's no upheaval, and I know the way in. It's just a bit further down from Harlington, that's all it is, and I enjoy coming here every morning.
Okay, let's just talk a little bit about yourself personally before we come on to the current squad at the moment and some of the current affairs. How do you think now, I think, as you mentioned, the challenges you faced at Wycombe and that period, such a vast period, I think almost uncommon in current circumstances in football. How do you think your managerial style and methods of implementation have changed and evolved now from the point when you were here 15 years ago to now? What's that evolution period been like for your managerial style?
An absolute world away from when I first took the caretaker ends here. When I took the caretaker ends here, I was still a player. And I was involved in coaching parties with Ian Dowie and Paulo Sousa. Both managers got the sack, and I was there when they got the sack. It was crazy times at this club at that time, and obviously the Premier League years came not far after that. But at a cost. And we've got to realise that as well. But I almost just took the reins. I took the reins and steadied the ship, because the ship wasn't bad. We had some good players in them days.
Yeah,
I really wasn't putting too many of my ideas into the team at that time. It's well documented upstairs. We're trying to have a big influence in the managing and picking the team, and that it didn't happen. I have to say now, to clear the air. And people were saying, Flario called me 70 times at Man United.
We've seen the 4-year plan, Gareth.
Didn't happen. It was chaos, but I really took the reins, steadied the ship, and the team almost picked itself. They were that good, those boys. They were a good side. And really, I wasn't looking at formations of opposition. I wasn't really trying to break teams down, find out what worked, and I was just steadying the ship and took it that way. I knew that I wouldn't be in long term. And at the end of the season, I went up and saw the owners of the club and said, look, I'm not ready. And two reasons, really. Is one, genuinely, I wasn't ready. I was the captain of the club at one stage, got to the experienced player stage where I was out of the team and the oldest player, so they gave me the job. But two, it wouldn't have been found QPR fans for me to take the reins. I wouldn't have done that to them because I wasn't ready. And I went to Wycombe. Gary Waddock, obviously ex-manager, he pulled me at Wycombe, took me in there. Couple of years playing, which I'm glad to say I was really, really pleased to do. It was almost a relief getting away from a bit of chaos here. Go and play 2 years at Wycombe. We had a promotion, we had a relegation, and then Gary obviously gets the sack. And then I wasn't ready again, but I was more ready than I was actually. But for a year, Wycombe nearly went out of the Football League. I was not ready. I was not ready at all. And I thought that football management was something totally different to what I know football management is now. I thought I've been an all right player. I've played at some good levels. I got a bit of respect. This should be easy. This miles away, miles and miles away. I really had to make choices that summer where we almost went out of the league to what kind of manager I wanted to be, what kind of recruitment was coming in the building, what culture I wanted at the club. And I'm glad to say that probably when I say 10 years in charge, 8 were really successful. The first 2 or the first 1.5. Wow, I was learning on the hoof, and I'm glad to say I got the time, got the patience, and now I'm seeing systems, I'm seeing players, I'm seeing incidents on the pitch and substitutions and analysis of teams that really I never saw back then, and trying to break things down, but also this cultural thing that I talk about, and this character and this winning mentality is so important to get in your squads, and I think that I've come here and I know what I want to do. Just can't do it all at once, but it'll take time, and I'm hoping I get patience and time here because I know I can make this into a fantastic club.
We'll touch upon culture a little bit later because I think that's something that I think we've seen from yourself and Richard Dobson is such a key element of what you're trying to enrol with the club. Is there any person in football now that inspires you in terms of management, in terms of could be personality, could be tactically, could be anything really about that? Is there someone that stands out to you that inspires you in your sort of style?
I really love Diego Simeone and the way he does things at Atletico. And he's talked about, and I got this tag at Wycombe a little bit, dark arts and things like that, anything to win a game. Well, this is a results-based business. Of course, you're going to do anything to win a game. It's about winning, and I will do anything to win, anything.
I heard you switch dugouts at Wycombe as well. After 1 year, it didn't go quite to plan.
Of course, anything
There's fine margins.
Fine margins, But when Diego Simeone has to compete, and by the way, Atletico Madrid are a fantastically rich club, and they have everything, but they're not like Barcelona and Real Madrid. So how do they compete with them? How do they beat them? And I like some of the stuff he employs. I like the. And then again, I look at people like Jurgen Klopp, who's a very man management sort of touchy-feely kind of thing, you know, round the players. Yeah, you know, and I relate to that. I think this game's about people. I honestly do think it's about people and moments. I think if you've got the right people and moments, you'll win games rather than a fantastic tactician or a fantastic way of football. Pep Guardiola has it, but he always credits his board saying they get him the best players, so he's going to win the best games. I like these ones who break the odds. Leicester winning the Premier League. Wow.
Yeah.
You know, wow. And that, for me, is what people come and watch football for. That's what they do it for. So, yeah, there's a few managers I've mentioned there, but, you know, my inspiration comes from coming in and I'm lucky. I wake up every morning wanting to inspire these boys, and when I see their faces when something goes right on the training ground or they learn something, that's my inspiration.
I certainly see the passion similarities with Klopp, but I think he's missing the leather jacket, and that's probably where he's letting himself down. But okay, let's come on to sort of the current squad now. I want to just start on before you step foot in the club on that training ground a couple of weeks ago. I'm sure you've obviously seen the decline. I think, you know, this it's not anything new for QPR fans, etc. What were your assumptions and assessments that you made of that squad from an external perspective, as I said, before you came into the club, as to why potentially that decline has unfolded? What did you kind of look at from that perspective? Potentially when you heard you're getting the job and you make an assessment, or what were your sort of understanding as to why potentially that could have occurred before you stepped foot in the club?
So what could have occurred
in terms of from an outsider perspective, looking in, obviously, you got that managerial experience.
Yeah.
Before you stepped foot in the club, before you came into this training ground, what potentially you think the reasons, or what were the things that you saw that maybe caused this decline, or some of the reasons? Was it the character? Was it was it tactic? What maybe did you see?
No, honestly, people say the decline of QPR. I think the opposite is the strength of the other teams in the league. I really do. I think that QPR are a brilliant, fantastic football club, but there's again a ceiling of what QPR can do unless they go ridiculously into a chairman spending millions that really the club can't sustain, you know. And honestly, I believe that mid-table is probably about something that the club is a mid-table club, you know. I think if you start spending 5 million, 7 million, or our friends coming to town on Saturday, Watford, they've got players, they're turning £40 million bids down. QPR just could not do that, you know what I mean? We'd have to accept those sort of bids, or we couldn't spend 7 million in the January window. Days gone by maybe, but not now. So I think the strength of the other teams in the league, especially with the parachute payments that some of the teams have got, you know, and you look at your Sunderland's coming up with 37, 40,000 going to the games, you know, it makes a hell of a difference to the bottom line of what you can spend and how big those clubs are. I think that, is it top 10 once in the last 10 years, I think, or something like that? Yeah, I heard a stat the other day and I'm thinking, wow, really, you know, they're doing fantastically well to get that mid-table all the time, to keep in that mid-table, you know, and I'd love to be able to go, right, let's have a go at the playoffs one year, let's try and get in these playoffs one year, and I believe it's possible. But I want to do it my way, bring what I bring, because I've worked with I've worked with Wycombe, who've always been not the richest, not the best, but we found a way. That's what I intend to bring here. We have a fantastic training ground. We have a great squad. Yeah. But I think people can get a bit carried away with QPR historical worldwide of old, when football was a lot more even. Now money talks so much, and you've got investors from all over the place trying to come in and get to that Premier League. We've done it. We did it, 12 years ago. But it was tough. People know how tough it was, and people know that sort of put a dent in the finances as well, So I intend to build it the right way, not ever put the club in trouble. And I've got good people upstairs, ahead of me. I know there's, I'm not stupid. I know there's been a bit of stick dished out to those people. They just want the best for the club, they really do. And I'm flattered that they brought me in to give the best to this club. But I will really try and find this way, find this magic formula of trying to win games, trying to progress up the league, but not spending millions and millions, because we just can't do it.
Okay. The reason I asked that question was Critchley came in his first couple of interviews and he questioned the mentality of the players and their application. And I think, obviously, you mentioning there, maybe you see it from your perspective in terms of our ability to compete at that level. And as we well know, there's been a lot of injuries that have riddled this squad for this season. Do you see the depth there? Because obviously now we've had to scrape back that. You could argue, a lot of players from that first 11 are out at the moment.
Yeah.
Do you see the depth there below that surface level coming through from the academy to compete, to fuel that sort of fire that we're going to need now coming into the end of the season? Because, like we mentioned, a lot of players are out and we know the position we're in. Do you see that depth there? Do you see players, I mean, Aaron Drew came in on Saturday. Do you see that funnel right at the moment in terms of coming through to the academy, or do you still think that sort of needs work? Do you have that ability there?
Being totally honest, I haven't really had a delve into the academy yet. I'm going to the B team game tonight, which is 9 games in. I think I'm doing pretty well going to the B team game tonight now, but it's I want to see some of these players. I thought Aaron was fantastic Saturday. I thought he had a really good debut, and he's come up. Lads like Joel Gubbins, who train with the first team quite regularly, and I've seen one or two of the young boys coming up, Dion, Hamza, these kind of guys coming up. So I'm thinking, yeah, there's definitely something there. Chris Ramsey's got a great bunch of coaches in the academy, bringing them up, and I think that there will be boys there. But it's not all about just talent; it's belief that I put in them.
Yeah.
When you talk about players' mentality and winning mentality, it's my job, right? I've got to put that in the players. It's not the players having it. There's obviously something gone wrong here because the managers have, lost their jobs or moved on. I take that as my responsibility, getting that winning mentality in there. And yeah, of course you want winning mentality across the board in every player, but I won't question the players. I'll question myself about getting it out of them. That's what I want to do. And it'll be in there somewhere.
Yeah. And
everyone's different. And yeah, of course, we've lost a lot of games, too many games. We haven't won for quite a while now. So there is this losing momentum at the moment, but it's my job to break this. It's the players, when they go on that pitch, but ultimately, I've said to the players, I'm not going to hang them out dry. It's me, I'll do it. Yes, I'm missing a lot of players through injury. So I'll have to deal with that, and I will do. But I know come 2 weeks' time, Lyndon could be back, Ballaghan could be back, Ethan Lake could be back, Chris Willett could be back, Ellis Chair could be back. I could list these names. I'm thinking, great, strong. If I can add that to a bunch of players that have worked with me for a few weeks and have this winning mentality, wow, we're going to be strong, So, bit of patience. Yes, there's some issues, but I'll never publicly sort of discuss them. We do it, but it's my job at the end of the day. I'm the manager here.
Just touch upon those injuries. I know you kind of mentioned some of the names there, and you mentioned on Saturday the Cavalry is coming back.
Yeah.
How sort of, what can we expect? And I know you won't list names in specific timelines, but what can we expect and sort of what fruition, what impact is on the cards? Because you don't know where some of these players are at.
And it's games, honestly, it's games of under the belt of Lyndon Dykes, Ilias Chair, Chris Will. They've got games. These players have played hundreds of games, so triple figure games now, and for me, experience is so important. So that's what I'm going to bring. You learn how to win games, as a professional footballer. When you play, the more games you play, you're not surprised. I'm not surprised that the older players, they're the ones who win the games. They're the ones who turn it in the balance. I've got some fantastic Chris Martin. Absolute leader at the moment, really coming through. Stefan as well. I think has really took on the mantle of what I want to do. After that, I'm looking, going, where's my experience in this team? It's quite tough at the moment, and I think there is a lot of people learning the game as well as playing in the Championship, which is a tough league to play in, so hopefully some of this experience, not experiences in years, but experiences in games, knowing how to win games, what wins games, not the dark arts so much, but that winning sort of, formula that they'll bring, I think is what's going to happen. But no, it's tough at the moment. But I'm really pleased at where, what the future looks like here. And I know, I'm not being stupid, I know we need to get some wins on the board before we start talking about a rosy future next season or the season after.
What's your assessment of the dressing room at the moment? What's the culture like? What do you think potentially needs to change in terms of this mentality? I know there's talked about a lot of downwards momentum. And do you see those generals that you've talked about throughout your time at Wycombe, those cultural architects you've mentioned quite a lot, do you see those leaders in that dressing room, or do you think it's something that needs to be developed?
So, yeah, one or two now,
Okay.
but not enough, being totally honest. No, I mean, Chris Martin for a fact,
Yeah.
you know, and Dunny at the back there, you know, I think he's got the potential to be a good leader. Some players are quiet by nature. They aren't, but they lead by example, and that's a different kind of leader. Generals don't have to be the ones shouting at the front. There's all sorts of examples, you know, whether you're doing training right, you're looking after yourself, you're the best player, you're the most consistent player, you're always available because you do your gym work right and because you do all your. These are different kind of generals, you know. So they're definitely in that dressing room without a doubt. I think that third manager of the season coming through the door, the lads are a bit of a whirlwind at the moment. And when I did come in, honestly, I felt, and it's not nice hearing about a sort of, you know, a morale, but you could feel the morale was very low. He was down, you know, and I think that it was perfect time to come in and go, right, I'll lead you boys, I'll lead you through this, and I will give it my absolute best shot to carry you through this, and I'll be at the front, I'll run with you, you know. If I could get my boots on, I would do for these boys, you know, but I can't. And these leaders are emerging slowly, you know, without giving too much away, because I don't. It's a dressing room, it's quite a tiny thing, but a couple of the players are now connecting more than they ever did, and trying to lead sort of the quieter ones, and you'll always get that. You'll always get that in football. At Wycombe, you know, I'm not saying we had perfect there, but you get your generals, and then you've got what we call it, your sheep type, your followers, which will just go with whichever flow is right. So it's about our job to get the best flow. They've got to follow in the best flow, a real good positive flow, and that's how we're going to run it. And these people are emerging, definitely, and one or two maybe in the treatment room. I haven't seen them yet, but somebody could be a 21-year-old leader. You know, Jimmy Dunn's not the oldest, you know, but Chris Martin has the experience, and you know, so this is where we are, you know, and I'm hoping to get these leaders out, and you know, days like the hacker day we did, which was well publicised, that will not necessarily bring the leaders out, but connect everyone in an uncomfortable situation where they can open up. And sort of, I think the best connections for footballers are not on the pitch, they're off the pitch. Talk about each other's families. Do you know about him? Do you know what his wife's called? Do you know his kids? Are you doing the gym together? Are you? This is what I want here in this family culture, that nobody messes with our family.
You, as I mentioned, you made it very clear in terms of your standpoint on notifying about injuries. Did you feel disappointed with Tyler Roberts in the last 48 hours or so, announcing that his injury would be more long term than expected? What was your perspective?
Yeah, I respect the boys, and I don't come out with injury news a lot. Again, two reasons. One, I respect the boys. I don't want to put pressure on the boys, you know, or the medical staff, because if there's a timeline, yeah, it's great, but what if we don't stick to that timeline? You know, who's at fault? Is it the boys? Is it the medical team? Have I put pressure on people? And you know, really, the opposition, they look at everything. We look at everything. So we know if somebody's injured or not. You know, some managers give away a lot, some don't. And I'm sorry to the fans. I'm not going to tell people who's injured and people. You know, everyone's in contention on a Friday until the physio tells me who's not, and that's going to be my stock answer. I really tell you that, because we need these little, you know, these little 1%, these little unbuyables that we can get, and if that helps me win a game, I'm sure every QPR fan will say, "Don't tell us anything, just go and win the game," you know, and that's true. But if a player wants to announce it himself, that's fine. He's taken that responsibility away from me. He's now took that responsibility, Tyler, on him, and I just wish him all the best. He's a cracking lad. I didn't get to see him play. I would have loved to, because I've heard he's a fantastic player, but he just seems to have gone through so much this season injury-wise, and so I just hope he gets well and cracks on with his career. But we're going to definitely have to do without him for now.
I like the fine margins. I can understand. So who knows? We could effectively see us in a different dugout next season. But let's. I want to come on to something I've heard you mention quite a lot. I listened to your podcast, and you went on about the psychology of football. And one of the things that I think is quite interesting and quite differential that I've heard from other managers talk around is around incentives, and a lot of, you know, more traditional mainstream win losses. And yourself and Richard Dobson have talked quite a lot about KPIs and how you use these sort of incentives and different metrics in matches to quantify player monetary bonuses, should I say. Can you just sort of explain these a little bit, why you think this is more advantageous, and have you implemented these at the moment at QPR, or is it something you'll look to do longer term?
No, they're not in the moment. There's too much to have got in so far, but the KPIs are huge for us. So this was done on a study of ourselves over years about what was winning games, what it took to win a game. And so I think it's, is it 8 shots at goal, 5 shots on target, I think can tip the balance, So we want to try and say to the boys, look, you get 5 shots on target, we want these to be tipping the balance. First contact on corners, and I'm sure people will talk about these in general. We must get first contact. We actually put that down as a KPI, and then, whether it's a monetary incentive or something that the boys can have together it'll never be individual, never be ever. It's team. It's always team. So the team will all play a part in the shots on goal, it's stopping the opponents having shots on our goal. We don't quantify it too much on set pieces and things like that. It's what we do, how we can make them work. There's other things in there, but again, I don't want to go into too much detail. But it really worked, where the boys were actually realizing that this works. And I think it's a really important thing if the boys have something to grab hold of, rather than just the ambiguity of just play football, just play a great possession game and go, let's get some end product. Fans love shots of goal. Fans want us to cross the ball. Fans want us to get the ball in the box. Fans want us to be in people's faces. And this is what I play. This style of football. I play this like I played as a player. I don't want to change. Been documented too much about new managers going to clubs and changing for the club. I'm saying QPR brought me in for my management style, and that ain't going to change. I really want to go, get stuck into teams and have this energy about us. And it doesn't always have to be a high energy press, but it's energy in the team. You feel it, and when they come off that pitch, they're shattered, and they've got nothing left. We're not quite there yet, but we're getting there, properly getting there, and there's definitely been building. I'm hoping people see the Blackburn game and go, right, first game, 2 days training. Okay, Blackburn, good side. Rotherham, went through the video this morning with the boys, and the chances we've created, and the goals, again, are avoidable against. We're going places, and we're stepping forward, and that's all I can ask for.
You mentioned those goals being avoided in recent games. It's now the last 4 games we conceded 3 in each, and I know 2 you weren't here for, so I'm not going to put that on you.
All right.
I know you're important to take the fan for points there being at the club, but what are you doing? I know you just mentioned you're analysing the Rotherham game. What are you doing to rectify that?
Yeah,
what are you looking at?
We're looking specifically at the goals, at the timing of the goals. We have conceded quite a few towards the end of halves and things like that, and I think that's something that we have to look at. Is there something there? As a whole, I'll never dig anyone out, but as a whole club, just something we can look at there to make the players better, to make them better towards the end of halves, things like this, and so I'm not just going, we just conceded another one. I look really seriously into this, as I said, I'll never hang anyone out to dry. Individuals have actually come up to me this week, which has been a massive step forward, and owned their mistakes. They've owned it, and it's not maybe the final mistake. People will look at the last person who was near the ball and go, oh, that's him. There's always a run up before that. And what was great this morning was, the last person near it was, that I need to do better. And then somebody else saying, but I probably could have done better there. It should never got to that. Brilliant. This is what I want. This accountability. And what I'll give the boys is I'll give them job specs on that pitch where they'll know that it was their job, or it is their job to do. And there will be accountability. And again, it won't be ever publicised, but I will make sure that I am, working on people who either make repetitive mistakes. We have to train them better. We have to work on that so they don't do that. Or does somebody else get a goal and go, right, okay, I'll show you, Gaffer, I can do it as well. That's football, That's football, and I think that the boys will accept that, because if you ask for a specific thing, you want that specific thing delivered, I've been asked for results, I've got to deliver results, I know that. So I'll ask my players to do specific jobs to get results now, and and there'll be accountability all over the place. And I think that's a good place to be. It's a good place to be when you've got your job, you know what you've got to do, and if results aren't there, then you got to have a look at yourself first, and then see how could we be better. I do that every day.
What positives have you taken from the last two fixtures, despite the negative result?
For me, the way that the boys have bought into what I want, the way that I want to get them pressing teams. Really, I remember the team that I played in. Difficult to play against, chances created. This is what I want. This is what I want, and I've seen that lately. I've also seen that a mood change in the players around the place. It's not everyone will look at the games. Everyone will focus on the games. You have to get this change around the whole mentality of the place. And as I say, the people upstairs who took a bit of stick from me, not from me, from fans.
Ready?
I don't give this. I don't really. But the people upstairs have taken a bit of stick from fans, and people have backed me 100%. They said, yeah, we're with you on that. Yep, if that's what you want to do, we'll go for that. So, I'm really proud that they've trusted me to come in and do this. But I'm also proud of the boys, because I think there's been some big steps forward, and you won't see it on a Saturday at the moment, but you will. And that's what I'll say to the fans. I wish we could have. I wish we could have had the new manager bounce, But sometimes, you need to come in and sort a lot out, and I've got to do that, and I want to do that, and I'm working my socks off to do that.
Talking about this mood change, this increased accountability, how close do you think we are to getting 3 points on the board, Gareth?
Yeah, we're very close. We're very close. We've got some tough games coming up. But if you take 9 players out of any team, it's tough for that team. And it might not necessarily be the team that goes out, the 11 that goes out, but then you're looking at your bench and you're thinking it's tough. I can't maybe put players in the correct positions I want to put players in. And it's very tough, honestly. It would be, you as I mentioned, Man City earlier. You take 8 starters out of Man City's team. Actually, they're probably a bad example out of to come in, but you know what I'm saying. Liverpool a couple of years ago, once they won the Premier League. The next season, Van Dijk goes down, and that was one player. Imagine taking 8 out of that, of your team and going. So I am asking for a tiny bit of patience with this injury list, because I've never known anything like it. But I'm also saying what I'm working with, I'm not dismissing. I think these boys 100% will get a win soon. So I'm saying the future looks good, but it may take a little bit of patience, and that's all.
Talk about patience. What do you see your vision for your time at the club? But also, secondly to that, how do you balance this almost a short-termism, this desperate scenario we're in at the moment, where we need to focus about the here and now, given our status in the league? And how do you then balance that with where you want to take the club post the end of the season? How do you sort of balance that scenario?
Short term, do not get involved in a relegation scrap. Potentially people are looking at it as we already are. So get out of this short term. Get out of this any way you can. Scrap. Get out of this. Big time. Mid term, get your culture down. Get your philosophy down. And get a group of players that is well balanced, that is available, so work on the availability of the players. So mid-term, we have a good selection every week. We can put our best team out if we need to. We can rotate a couple if we need to, because the fixture list gets so crazy. And then long-term, this club being stable and have no worries about the millions of pounds they've been fined in the past and things like that, which are an actual club the size of QPR worldwide, like I say, that is under no threat of either leaving the Championship in a negative way, or being, in trouble financially and points deductions and things like this. And be a proud club that we do it right, and one day we can maybe start challenging for that upper level, because Luton and Millwall aren't a million miles from QPR, and I'm not talking geographically, I'm talking club-wise.
Yeah.
But they've both had to drop down to come back up, and I think they've built really well. I'm not saying I want to drop down to come back up, but they've built really well, and I think they see the value of that structure together. And I think that if we can get that, you know, with bottom of League One, which Championship, which isn't great, it's the bottom end of this league. It's not great. We want to go right. This is the worst it's getting, and we want to build, and we want this structure to be solid going forward. So in years to come, if I'm manager or not, I can always look back and go, proud of what I did there. You know, really proud of what I did there. There's a great culture. There's great winning. There's great availability in the players, and that club's is solid. It's solid. Yeah, we're getting youngsters in. We're bringing academy youngsters through, and if we maybe need to sell one of them on every year or to get this going, but we've got a fantastic football club here with real good structure, real good base of that academy, and I look forward to getting these points on the board as soon as possible.
Sounds good to me. Lastly, Gareth, have you got a message to the fans? How have you rated their reception and reaction to your instalment of the club? And as well, 1100 going up to Rotherham on Saturday. I think it's pretty remarkable given certain circumstances. And what's your message to them ahead of Watford on Saturday?
Thank you so much. You know, thank you, fans, because some of the names on the team sheet, you're probably going, oh my God, this is going to be tough, but you're still willing to get behind them, singing Gareth Ainsworth's Blue and White Army. I mean, thank you so much, because, you know, it's our army together. It's QPR. We're all one together, and I want the fans to be understanding, patient. I understand results have got to come. Results have got to come. I'm not stupid. I'm a manager. That's what I'm judged on. But they will. They will given time. Just understand where we are right now, and stay with us, because the word supporter, if you look into it, it means get behind this club. Don't be booing us off too many times, please, because we're really trying, and I'll make sure
that's what we can ask for.
These boys will try as much as they possibly can. And if it goes wrong, come with me. Don't come with the boys, because I'm asking them to do it.
Sound look, Gareth. Thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Really nice to meet you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you very much, Gareth.
Top man.
Good man. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Cheers.
Good. Old team, mate. All from the heart, you know. It is just...